Okay, we are going to multiply fractions. I'm going to take my fraction 1/3 and I'm going to multiply it by another fraction 2/4. When we are multiplying fractions, all we have to do is go across. So I'm going to write equals, put my fraction line there, and I'm going to go 2 times 1, put it on top, which is 2. And then I'm going to go 3 times 4, which is 12. And if I forget what 3 times 4 is, let's solve another fraction multiplication problem. If I have the problem 5/6 times 1/3, again, I am just going to multiply across. So I have 5 times 1, and 5 times 1 is 5. And then I have 6 times 3. So over here it is 18. And that is my answer. And now I'm just going to write a sentence about that. I'm going to say, to multiply fractions multiply across. Again, so to multiply fractions, I just multiply across. What I can go to my multiplication chart and go 3 times 4, and I can see that 3 times 4 is 12. If I look over here, I have my number 6 times 3 is 18. If I have to this, I can see that 14 times 2 is 28. Sometimes I might have a fraction multiplication equation where I have a whole number in the middle. Now that this is here, I cannot multiply across. That does not work. So I have to use something called the circle trick to change this number into a fraction that I can multiply across. So for the circle trick, I have my mixed number 2 1/2, and I'm going to multiply the denominator with the whole number. So I have 2 times 2, which is 4. Now I'm going to take my number 4 and I'm going to add it to my top number. So on the top, I'm going to go 4 plus 1, which is equal to 5. So this whole thing, I'm going to take my 5 and put it on top. I'm going to go 5 on top, and then my denominator just stays the same, and I'm going to bring it over there and have 5/2. So now I know that this whole thing right here is equal to that. So let's rewrite this equation in a way where I can multiply across. I'm going to have 1/3 times, instead of 2 1/2, I'm going to do 5/2. So 5/2. So I have now 1 times 5 and 3 times 2. So 1 times 5 is 5, and 3 times 2 is 6. And that is my answer. Let's do one more problem together with a mixed number. Let's say I have the problem 2 4/5 times 2/3. So I have a mixed number here I cannot multiply across. So I'm going to change my mixed number. I'm going to use the circle trick. And I'm going to do 2 4/5. So I'm going to multiply the bottom. I have 5 times 2, which is 10. And then I'm going to take my 10, I'm going to add it to 4. Equals 14. So now I have a new fraction, and I'm going to put the 14 on top, and I'm going to keep my bottom the same and put it here. So now I have 14/5. This whole thing is equal to that. So let's rewrite my problem. So now I have 14/5 times 2/3. This is equal to a new fraction. I know that 5 times 3 is 15. And 14 times 2, if I go back, so I have 28/15. This whole thing is equal to 28/15.